Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome back to the Pageant Sit Down. My name's Regina Lena, and I am so excited for all of you to be here today. If you're watching live, thank you for joining us. If you have any questions for our guest, make sure you leave them in the comment section below. If you're not watching because you're watching the Leafs game, I won't be upset. Just welcome. Let us know what the score is from time to time. But yes, I am excited for all of you to be here today because I have a very exciting guest. She is none other than a Miss Canada 2020 finalist. She is none other than Louise. Hello, Jewel.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Well, welcome to our show. I almost called you Louise. So, Jewel, for all of those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm Jewel. I'm 21, soon to be 22 this week, actually. And I recently became the first member of my family to have graduated from university. I always have loved school. Like, my sister has vivid memories of me forcing her to play during the summer just because I loved it so much. And I'm going to be beginning my ed in September so I can become a teacher and continue helping Canadian youth recognize that they can make a difference in their communities.
I love that. Well, first off, congratulations on graduating. That is a huge milestone for everyone. And happy early birthday. There's a lot going on for you. You got the pageant, your birthday, graduation. I love it.
The month.
That's exciting. When is your birthday?
It's on Friday, so June 4th. I'm a Gemini, proud Gemini.
There you go. Well, happy early birthday. If you're all watching, make sure you leave a happy birthday for Jewel in the chats. So you mentioned you are the first person in your family to graduate university. That is a huge accomplishment in any family. And you mentioned that you are going back to be a teacher. I think that's great for somebody who loves school and loves to teach. Why not be a teacher?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always joke I'll be in school for the rest of my life, and I would not have it any other way.
I love that. Well, that's exciting, and I'm wishing you all the best. But let's talk a little bit about your journey to Miss Canada, because you're preparing in a pandemic. The pageant is in a few weeks. Mm-hmm. What is that like for you? Is it happening in person or is it virtual?
So, as far as I know, because, COVID-19 changes things all the time, but it will be happening in person in Quebec. Their province is reopening, starting to have more gatherings that are, obviously socially distanced. So the plan is in person. And preparing in a pandemic has been unlike any of my other preparations. It's been a lot more focused, I would say, as opposed to focusing on my walk or on my outfits. I've been able to actually take the time to learn more about myself and really learn about what I want to bring to the Miss Canada organization and why I'm returning. Because for those who don't know, Miss Teen Canada, the teen equivalent, was actually my first pageant ever.
Mm-hmm. So you have taken the time to focus on you, which is great. You've prepared in a pandemic. How has it been different, preparing for, say, Miss Teen Canada, which was an in-person experience for you, versus virtual?
Well, Miss Teen Canada, I found I could go out in my community more and talk to people face to face, whereas Miss Canada has been virtual preparation, but it's actually allowed me to connect with a larger audience, because people that I would not have been able to just run into at a community event, I've been able to meet. I've met women from coast to coast and been able to share my platform with them. So it's been such a larger scale, and I've been able to just connect with so many amazing women this past year during my preparation.
And so what is your platform, if you don't mind me asking?
So my platform is Grateful Givers. It's a community initiative that focuses on teaching Canadian youth how to give back authentically and with gratitude, and really recognizing that they can make a difference in their community while developing their own skills and honing into their strengths.
I love that. And you actually hosted your own virtual pageant. What was that like for you to be on the other end of everything?
I have to say I have a newfound appreciation for directors because the amount of multitasking that was required as a pageant girl, I always saw like the outcome, the amazing pageant at the end, and I never saw the hours that were put into tabulating scores, making sure judges, felt rested and were having enough breaks. And so to be put in that director position and be able to see all the work that goes in even before the girls show up, it's just a newfound appreciation that I have.
Well, as being one of the judges for the pageant, you as a director, you made it very easy and seamless for us as judges, because I've done pageant judging in person where they give you all this paper and you're like, hey, write it down really quickly, where you actually gave us the opportunity to go back to it and see, okay, where can I fill it out? We were able to write our notes, we were able to take our time with it, and I think that was a lot less stress going into a virtual pageant than I was expecting. But the outcome was great. You had so many girls from all over Canada wanting to take part in it. And a lot of them said the reason why they joined is to support you.
Yeah. That's
exciting.
It's so mind-blowing to me when I'm able to connect with women who have been following my journey that I might not have realized, and they're like, oh, you've inspired me to give back to my community, or you've inspired me to focus and develop my platform more. And that to me is just incredible, because sometimes I'm like, is anyone reading my posts? Does anyone care what I have to say? And then to have that reassurance is phenomenal.
Well, they definitely do follow you. And some of them were also girls who are competing at Miss Canada. What was it like seeing some of your pageant sisters who you're going to be competing with in a few weeks also using your pageant as, like, for example, a practice round?
I think it highlights the sisterhood of pageantry, that I always say you compete with girls, not against them, because you're always on your own journey. You're trying to be the best version of yourself, and no one else is going to change how you show up and how authentic you are. So I think by having women who I will be competing with in a few weeks join my virtual pageant to give back to the charity, to the Miss Canada charity in a different capacity, and also gain that practice and gain that experience, just highlighted how it's so much more than a competition.
And it was great to see everything come together. But then you also recently did a 50-50 draw. So what keeps you busy, and what also keeps you motivated to continue to push forward with all of your fundraising?
Have to give a shout out to my coach, Maria. I don't know if she's watching, but she motivates me to set these high goals. I remember when I started planning my fundraisers, I said, I'll reach 1,000. And she was like, I want you to double that. I want you to go higher, like set that standard for yourself, because even if you don't make it, I've been able to host so many different fundraisers trying to have this goal in mind, and I've gained so many skills through them. So I have to give credit where credit is due. She's definitely helped me push out of my boundaries this time around.
That is amazing. Well, I'm really excited to see what happens in a few weeks with Miss Canada for you. But for those who don't know what Miss Canada is, because some people might not be from Canada, they might not have never heard of the pageant. What is Miss Canada, and what is Miss Teen Canada?
Mm-hmm. So they are actually the original Miss Canada pageant that's been around since the 1900s, and it actually was sold and bought in 2007 when it was rebranded as the current Miss Canada organization, and they removed swimsuit competition and focused a lot on personality. So 50% is determined throughout the week on your interactions with contestants, title holders, and just your overall energy throughout the week. So that's what actually drew me into Miss Teen Canada, was that it was so focused on who you are as an individual and not your outside presence. And what has brought me back is they are like a huge family. They have women returning year after year. The one MC is Miss Canada 2010, who has come back every year to help this organization, because that is what they are. They are a family, and they always make each contestant feel welcomed, whether or not they win.
And I'm guessing that is why you continue to go back How many times have you gone for Miss Canada, or is this your first time since Miss Teen?
This is my first time since Miss Teen. I was hoping to return to Miss Teen Canada in 2018, but I was starting university and it didn't align with like my schedule at the time, but I always knew that I wanted to return. And in 2020, funny enough, the pageant happened a week before shutdown. So that was when I decided I wanted to join. I was ready, and then a pandemic hit. And at the time, I thought this won't affect the 2021 pageant. And now I said laugh because I will be competing in a pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, it, like you said, it gave you the opportunity to not only prepare for the pageant itself, but also prepare your mindset, prepare you as an individual, and really getting to know who you are going into the pageant, because it's always great competing the best version of yourself. So I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. So you have a pageant coach, Maria, who is also known as the pageant gal. So what else have you been doing to prepare yourself for this pageant?
This is actually one of my tips for later on, so it's a sneak peek. But I've been really focused on finding clothes that makes me feel confident. And I always tell girls when they ask me for advice, like, you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on your wardrobe. What's important is that it feels comfortable and that you feel like you are the queen. When you step into a room, you're like, yes, all eyes are on me because I look good. And that's what I've been focusing on, especially since the pageant typically is a winter pageant and got postponed to the summer. I was able to buy more summer dresses, which are my favorite and go-to outfit. So I've been able to focus on that, as well as building my platform more to be independent, because a lot of community initiatives shut down or weren't having as many volunteers. So I was wondering how I could still give back. So I was able to create free workshops and challenge, still connect people through the value of community service.
And I think that you've done an amazing job with bringing people together. So a question from Instagram is, what would you do with your title if you won Miss Canada?
The main plan that I will hopefully be hosting in October 2021 is a virtual volunteer summit. I want to welcome Canadian high school students to a day of motivational speaking, self-reflection, and gaining those resources on how they can make a difference in their community, and really showing them that it doesn't have to be this $1 million initiative. Just putting in time and effort makes a difference, and it's that ripple effect that pays off.
That is amazing. So I do hope that it happens, because I think it's such a great initiative that you're starting. Another question is, will Miss Grateful Givers become a yearly thing?
I've had a lot of those questions. That tells me girls had a positive experience, which makes my heart happy. I started it as a fundraiser for Opération Enfant Soleil, the Miss Canada charity, and I've been considering how I can revamp it as a fundraiser pageant next year and continue giving back to potentially different charities each year, and allowing pageant women an affordable option to get that practice and get that experience without, the financial commitment that comes with some of the larger pageants.
But I thought what I thought was really interesting is that you had a component on an essay, and the topic was, what is beauty? And it was so interesting as a judge to read everyone's definition of what beauty is. And so for you to be able to incorporate that into a pageant, you don't see that often. And I think that's what made you stand out. And it was really great, because I also got to reflect as I was reading them, like, oh yeah, they're right, this is what beauty is. And then you read something else and you're like, oh yeah, this is what was the thought behind, one, the essay for your pageant, but then also the topic of beauty.
So the essay definitely came from the fact that I'm a nerd, and I was like, I like academics. I like including essays and giving women that opportunity to express themselves differently, because sometimes their interview, they don't know how to communicate verbally, but they are excellent writers. So I wanted to give them that opportunity to still give us a look into who they are. And the topic of beauty was because I often, refer to myself as a beauty queen and get asked if I do well because of my appearance. People are confused about my glasses, and there's always, well, do you wear those on stage? Like, I didn't think beauty queens could wear glasses. So I wanted to show that, like, each woman who steps into pageantry has a different of what beauty is, and that's what makes us beautiful. It's not this one size fits all. Like, Canadian women do not all look the same, and that is why we need representation in pageantry.
Mm-hmm. First off, people asking you if you do well in pageants, that's a slap in the face, and I hope you slap them in the face, because that is so rude. But I'm glad that you're able to put your foot down and be like, no, you know what? This is what a pageant girl is, or what a beauty queen is. And that's the whole purpose of this show, is to educate people, because they see beauty pageants as Trump. Or they see it as miscongeniality. They see it as something negative. And so you being able to stand up for yourself and say, actually, let me educate you. I commend you for that. And for all those who are watching, if you were thinking that, you can go to the next channel, because we don't want that here. So let's talk about that. So, a lot of girls who are watching, I know one in particular who might be watching, if they look at themselves in the mirror and they wear glasses, or they're not the definition of what beauty is to them, what would you say to them when it comes to beauty or competing in pageants?
I struggled with that a lot. My first pageant, actually, I didn't wear my glasses on stage because I thought there was no way I could win with them on. I didn't win with them off, and I couldn't see, so that was a lose-lose there. So I would just tell them, like, what beauty is you remaining authentic and you showing up in your full presence. And I don't believe that when you are changing yourself for other people's definition of what they think is a beauty queen, that you are able to show up and honor your presence in pageants. So I know women have been on the fence about joining pageants because they don't think they fit into this model of, like, a 6 foot tall, blonde, slim. And those women are beautiful, but there's also women who are from different descents who are 5 foot nothing and make just as much of an impact in pageantry. So it's time that we have more women joining pageants so we can have that diversity represented, with women with glasses, women who are short, or just different body sizes and shapes.
I love that. So Jewel, what is something about yourself, and this is a question that I read off Instagram, what is something that you learned about yourself competing in pageants?
I am more outgoing than I ever thought I was. I was extremely shy in high school, and people that knew me in high school used to joke that they never heard me speak. I was just timid. I would go through the halls with my head down, and then suddenly I was competing in pageants. And I remember thinking, like, this doesn't really match up. But when I'm with like-minded individuals, I'm extremely outgoing. I love feeding off their energy and being able to bounce ideas off them and empower each other through it. So it was a bit of a shock to me, and it's a shock to those who knew me during my shy phase that see me now. They're like, whoa, these are two different people here.
I love that. And I guess it goes now with you going into teaching, because you can't be a shy teacher.
No, and I always wanted to be a teacher, ironically, but I had an intense public speaking fear. I just would shake. I was in drama and I just could not do it in front of an audience. And then in my first pageant, I was like, there's 500 people out here and I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. And now I have no issue going to people or talking to them and making them feel welcome, because I know that's what I needed at the end of the day when I was shy, is just to feel like I had that space to speak and to share a platform.
So what got you into pageantry if you were really scared?
Oh my goodness. So I don't know where it first started. I started watching Miss USA with my mom, and I would always watch, like, the beauty pageant episodes of TV shows, specifically those episodes. And I just was absolutely in awe with these women, and I always wanted to learn more about it. And pageantry in Canada isn't quite as large as in the US, where everyone knows about it and everyone, like, you're more likely to have a daughter compete at Miss USA than a son play in the NFL. So
True.
I wasn't even sure what pageants looked like in Canada. And when I was 10, I remember this, I researched Miss Teen Canada. And at the time I was 3 years too young to compete. And I just went back and forth and I was like, I really want to do this, but I don't think I can. And it took me 7 years from that point to actually submit an application and show up to Miss Teen Canada. And it wasn't until I arrived there and the reigning Miss Canada hugged me and said, like, you got this, girl, don't worry, that I realized, like, this is my home. I am where I need to be.
I love that. So how many times now have you competed through the Miss Teen or Miss Canada organization?
So this will be my second time competing with them, but I did compete with National Canadian, which is now RIM Canada, for 2 years. So it is my 4th year in pageants.
I love that. And you still have a long way to go. You're so young.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're actually at the halfway point. So Jewel, I have a segment on the show, which you mentioned earlier, which is 5 tips from a beauty queen. So what would be your 5 tips for all of those who are watching us today?
Yeah. So first, and I mentioned this earlier, about getting to know who you are, why you're competing in the pageant, what drew you to it, and really what values you have that align with pageant you want to bring to the competition. Really knowing who you are, what you have to offer, and then secondly, sticking with that, staying true to yourself. And I know that advice is always given to pageant girls, but I think it's so fundamental to presenting yourself as the best version of you. You need to stay true to what your values are, what you hope to accomplish, and why you're present at that competition. And then third, that kind of goes with that, is to know that ultimate purpose of why you're with that pageant, why you chose that organization, because it's more than a crown and a sash. It's more than just getting the title at the end of the day. What do you want to do with it? Why did you choose pageants as your platform? And knowing, just really staying true with it throughout the competition. And then fourth, as I said earlier, is getting those clothes that just make you feel like you are powerful, like you are a queen, and that are comfortable. Because I don't think you need to spend a lot of money. I'm a big fan of thrift store shopping. I miss it in the pandemic, but I don't think you need to buy those $1,000 items, but buy clothes that really feels good on your body and that you feel comfortable in and you feel confident in, because that allows you to show up once again more authentic. And I once wore a dress that was ill-fitting and it was scratchy and I just was itching myself all the time. So I was so focused on trying not to scratch that I wasn't in the moment. I wasn't presenting myself authentically. So that's why clothes and your wardrobe are so key, because when you don't have to worry about, is this dress too, do they like it? When you're just like, I look good, let's move on, then you can really be present. And finally is to enjoy every aspect of competition, because obviously everyone's thinking about crowning. We're thinking about the final night. That in reality is like 2 hours pageant week and that's it. So focus on everything. What are you grateful for in each moment? Like, what are you excited about going into orientation, going into the first day? What do you want to gain from it? Because when you're, again, doing that, you're more present, as opposed to just always thinking like, I wonder what the final question is. That will come regardless. You don't need to worry about it.
Mm-hmm. And so those are some amazing tips, Jewel. So if people wanted to find more about you or follow your journey to Miss Canada, where can they find you?
My Instagram is @Miss and then _ Jewel Louise. That's always my brand I've created for myself. And I believe you've tagged me in a few things, so they can follow there. And I'm very active on Instagram. I try to show as much as I can of my passion, because when I was starting out, I didn't know what pageant was like, so I liked being able to look up to other pageant girls and see what they were doing.
Hmm. Well, yes, so all the links are in the description below. So after today's episode, make sure you check her out and follow her everywhere. I've also included, I think it's Linktree.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's actually called, but I posted your link there as well so people can, it's easier for people to find you. So Jewel, besides pageantry, you mentioned that you enjoy thrift shopping. What has maybe been some of the coolest items that you have found while thrift shopping?
I once found a Calvin Klein purse, and I'm a big purse girl. I like my life is in my purse, and to be able to find that at a thrift store, I was like, yes, score. But mainly what I love about it is me and my mom would go and be able to like compare finds, and it was like a mini competition almost, like see what we could find, see the deals we could score. So that was the best one I have found, and I still have it. I love it to pieces.
That is amazing. I do miss going to thrift stores or just stores in general and seeing what's there. Don't need to buy anything, but just to see stuff that I could potentially own. I love that.
Yeah.
But I think with thrift shopping, it's also finding treasure. Like you said, you found that purse, and I'm sure your mom has found amazing things too. So hopefully things will open up because you're also from a small town. So hopefully you will open up before Toronto does, or hopefully we all open up together.
Yes, we're hoping. Our thrift store is actually outside of my campground, and
no way.
It's like a 10-minute drive. So they weren't open last summer. They had like an Instagram store going on. So excuse my clock in the background as well. That is loud. But they were able to with it a bit, but I definitely miss being in person, and they kind of recognized me because I was in there so often, but it was nice to connect with them.
I love that. Well, I guess we know where to find you if you're not at a pageant. But besides pageantry and thrift store shopping, what do you like to do for fun?
I love writing. I, as a child, used to actually write short stories, and just I had one poem published through the World Poetry Movement when, oh goodness, I'm going to age myself. I was like 10. It was over a decade ago. But now as I've grown, I try to include writing in my daily activities by journaling every day, because I find, we get busy with school or with work, and I would forget about my leisure writing, and I wouldn't get to those short stories like I used to. So I try to include it by journaling and just checking in with myself and writing. And sometimes it turns out as more of a short story, depending on how much time I have.
I love that. That's amazing. Well, I guess it kind of now makes sense with Grateful Givers on the essay portion. So you also mentioned about Miss Canada. Sorry, I'm going back and forth. You mentioned with Miss Canada that there's no swimwear competition, and it's more about personality. And that was what made you more intrigued to, I think that's the right word to use, intrigued to compete with this organization. Would you be open to competing in other pageants with swimwear?
I think the swimsuit competition is really empowering for women, and I always get angry when people are like, oh, it objectifies women. It's not the swimsuit objectifying the woman, it's you. But that's my pageant stance.
True.
I never have competed in swimsuit. I've just always felt my values have aligned with systems that tend to not have a swimsuit competition. But I'm always cheering on my fellow pageant gals when they're rocking a bikini on stage in like 6-inch heels. Like, you go, you're a queen.
Awesome. Well, okay, so what then would be, besides Miss Canada, what would be your dream pageant to compete in?
I have not thought past Miss Canada. Miss Canada has always been like the dream, the ultimate one. And when I competed at Miss Teen Canada, I was like, this is it. This is my first pageant. And then I went to sister, always in the back of my head. I always felt connected with it. And like, I knew that it was my home. So as of right now, and this, pageant girl change journeys all the time, but Miss Canada is my dream title to win, my dream organization to be with. So this is hopefully the right one for me.
Well, maybe the next time you're on the show, it won't be a finalist for Miss Canada, it'll be Miss Canada. Who knows? Just putting it out there. Well, I'm really excited, Jewel, for your journey. I know it is in a few weeks. If people wanted to, are tickets available or is it all live streamed?
I don't believe it's live streamed. They haven't typically live streamed it, but with COVID, they might decide to add that in. I don't believe public tickets are available. The contestants were able to purchase tickets for family members, but with the current restrictions, they're trying to keep it more bubbly, like within systems and like families. So I don't believe they're open to the public, but if you follow the Miss Canada Instagram and Facebook, they do tend to go live throughout pageant week, so you can stay up to date with it.
And so for those who are wondering, because we were talking about it earlier, when is the pageant?
So pageant week begins on the 24th of June, but the pageant is on June 27th, so it's a Sunday night. Great way to start or end your week, depending on how you view the calendar week. But yeah, it will be on June 27th. So it's just over 3 weeks now until a new Miss Canada is crowned.
That is so exciting. I do hope that all goes well and that you're able to go. I love that they make it bubbly. I love that you called it bubbly. Welcome to a pandemic. This is our terminology now. But no, I love that. I love that they're keeping it safe. But besides that, what are they doing, if you know, in keeping with the restrictions?
So they haven't announced full restrictions yet because it's still changing. And I know they were looking into mingling because we do have girls from coast to coast coming, but masks, social when possible, and the venue will be at 10% of its full capacity, so that allows for people to actually not have anyone beside them and to have their own bubble when they're seated watching the competition, so everyone can feel safe.
Is it mandatory for you all to get tested, or is it unsure
They
yet?
have not said that. I'm not sure yet.
Sorry, so many questions. I'm just really intrigued because, pageants haven't really happened in Canada for a year almost. So I know we're all itching to get back on stage. So I want to know what they're doing.
I know, I do too. I feel like, and this is the nature of COVID-19, it's go with the flow. They're going to figure it out day by day. And I have faith that the organization will keep us safe just because they've already postponed it and they've been very good with communicating this with us and letting us know what's going on in the province of Quebec where the pageant will be held. I just think they don't fully know yet, so they're figuring and kind of rolling with the punches right now.
That's fair. That's fair. Welcome to a pandemic pageant. But, as long as it happens, that's all we care about. And we will be cheering you on towards the end of the month. It's so crazy to think that we are halfway through 2021.
I know. It's mind-blowing to me because I knew I'm starting teachers college in September 2021, and when I found that out, I was like, that's so far away, and it's closer to now than far.
It is. Well, teachers college, what are you planning on teaching? Are you looking more into high school? Are you looking into university, elementary?
I hope to teach specifically grade 2 because I had a phenomenal grade 2 teacher and she really inspired me. So I feel connected now with that grade. But elementary school, I want to teach in the French school board because I am a French Canadian and I know the value of being able to speak both languages. And I also know the importance of early childhood education and, between 0 and 12, having that development and those positive role models in your life.
Mm-hmm. I think that's great. Yeah, I remember one of the contestants at Grateful Givers was French speaking. I was like, I don't understand. But no, it is true, especially in a country like Canada, to be able to be bilingual with French and English is very important. And I wish I took French all the way through high school, but that's why I have friends like you who can just translate for me.
No, my mom put me in French school, and when I lived in a neighborhood that had an English school board, and we were bused 30 minutes to the French high school because there's only one in my region. There were people that were bused hours. Like, that is how limited it was. So when I was growing up, I was like, why do I have to go to French school? Because all my friends go to this public English school. And now I look back, I'm like, okay, I still had friends. I still was able to connect with them. And now I'm able to speak French. And I do have my bilingual certificate.
Nice. And it helps that the pageant is in Quebec. So should you win, at least you can speak to the organization.
Yes, absolutely.
That is amazing. But with everything that's been going on in the pandemic and preparing for a pageant and doing school, how has that been for you being at home in lockdown?
I think I never fully recognized how screen fatigue is real. It's a very real thing. So being at home and being on my screen for 12, 14 hours a day, because in-person lectures, we're still staring at screens, but you kind of got breaks from it and you didn't recognize it as much. And then my unwinding at home was watching Netflix off my computer. So recognizing that I couldn't do that anymore because I had just done 6 hours of class, I did not want to watch Netflix on top of that. So it was a lot of adjusting. I was saying to Regine before the show, like, this is my home office. My mom's desk is behind me because we just had to make space where we could, because we had 3 of us. My mom was working remotely. My sister was online. I was online. So it was a lot of adjusting, but I really enjoyed it, despite it being my last year and missing out on those traditional graduation events. I enjoyed being able to reconnect with my fellow students in that different way, and also having the liberty of, showing up to lecture in pajama pants if I wanted.
Mm-hmm. What was it like, I guess, if your mom is behind you doing a lecture or doing an assignment and then your mom doing her work?
My mom was in awe. She never went to university. I was the first of my family. So she enjoyed being able to kind of look in and see what a university lecture looked like or what I was doing, because she hadn't seen it before. But at the same time, we had jokes in my one class that was quite small that my mom was an honorary student because she was just always in the background. So it had its benefits. It was cool, but it also, some days I would have to put my headphones in and be like, I'm sorry, do not talk to me. I need to get this done.
So you would have your camera on during your lectures?
Yes, so my program, I could just graduate from the University of Guelph, and our program was quite small. So we had classes of 15 people, and in those courses, we would have our cameras on because everyone knew each other. And then everyone also knew my mom by the end of the semester.
So basically your mom has gone to college.
She's done 2 full semesters now.
I love that. Wait, you've been in school for 2 semesters in a pandemic?
2.5? Yeah. So we went online last March, and I was finishing up my 3rd year. We had 3 weeks left, and suddenly they just shut us down. So most of our courses kind of ended there with what our grades were, and didn't finish because professors didn't know what to do. They thought it was temporary, and they were like, let's just leave it. But then this past fall semester and this winter semester were completely virtual. So the fall was a little more difficult, relearning my study habits and what was going to work in a virtual capacity. But the winter went by more smoothly because I had a semester of experience under my belt.
That's amazing. So, you're going to school to be a teacher. Teachers right now are doing everything virtually. Mm-hmm. I live with a teacher who does everything virtually. If things do continue one day, and you had to, do you think you'd be able to do virtual teaching?
I think I would, and I'm actually grateful to be starting Teachers College in the pandemic, or coming out of the pandemic, we hope, because now I have this new perspective of virtual teaching. This was something that was not taught to educators previously because it was just unheard of. It didn't happen. So now, we might have virtual placements. We are going to learn techniques to teach students through Zoom, through Google Classrooms. So I'm really grateful for that because it's something I had never considered, but I feel like I will be more prepared for now.
Oh my God, that's amazing that they're actually being able to do that, where do your placement virtually, but hopefully we won't have to go there
Hopefully.
come September. But I think it's still great that yes, you're right, you now have this better understanding of virtual world. It's just so crazy to think, that
I can't. I feel for parents of elementary school students because I love them, but they're so hyper at that age, and I'm like, I don't know how they're sitting at their computer screen. So I feel for you. My heart goes out to parents.
But imagine having like multiple children at
Yes.
home.
Oh,
That'd be
goodness.
crazy. One's in one corner, one's in the other corner. Oh gosh.
Oh, my mom always says, like, I'm so grateful my two daughters were in college and university at the time, because if we were younger, she was like, hey, we were sisters, we'd always fight. She was like, I would not have been able to do it.
And work at the
And
same
work,
time.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, you've been able to host a pageant virtually. You've now done 2.5 semesters and graduated virtually. You're preparing for a pageant virtually. You're a pro at this virtual world. But hopefully, things will start to open up, like you said, going to Quebec. How do you feel, though, going from this almost half a year in lockdown to now being with people?
It's exciting because I'm like, I get to connect with people in a way that I haven't in almost a year and a half now. Like it's been a while. And at the same time, I get anxious when I see movies now with like large gatherings of people, because I'm like 6 feet, masks, like why are you so close? So there's part of me there that's like concerned for what's this going to look like. But I know that vaccines are rolling out, and we are doing everything in our capacity to return to some sense of normalcy and have those human interactions. So it's a mix of emotions right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, like you said, they are hopefully taking things seriously with precautions and all of that. So I do hope you all the best when you go to Miss Canada, because I know how forward you are. How forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've been looking really forward to this pageant. There you go. It's Monday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So the pageant's coming up. Graduation's done. What else have you been doing to keep yourself busy, or have it just been pageant focused since graduation?
So I've been working sort of full time. I'm hired full time, but with the shutdown. But I work at a campground, Country Gardens RV Park. Shout out, because I've actually been camping there since I was 1 day old. So my employers have literally watched me grow up, and now I've been working for them for 7 years. So I work there 5 days a week typically, and my boss is cheering me on. She is so excited for Miss Canada. She does not fully understand what pageants are, but she is resharing all my posts. She saw my evening gown shoot that I just did and was so excited, was showing all the employees. Very supportive environment, and I can talk about pageants there, which is awesome.
I love that. I love that you have this community behind you. I call mine Team Regine. Do you have a fun name for yours?
I just go with Team Jewel L, because I'm not too creative, but I know I have my community backing me, and that's always what surprises me in pageants, is how many people you didn't realize were watching and then are suddenly cheering you on just like so passionately.
Yeah, or you don't realize that they're following you, and then all of a sudden they share something, or they comment on something. You're like, oh, hi.
Yes, the support's overwhelming. I'm so grateful for everyone.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, do you have any words that you would like to say to all of those who support you?
Oh my goodness. Just a big thank you, because, I would not be where I am today without all of your support, specifically with Miss Canada. During a pandemic, preparing, people have given me different resources and have supported. And just the amount of positive messages that I've received, or questions about the pageant, it does not go unnoticed. It's really appreciated. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I really hope I can make you all proud at Miss Canada.
And I'm sure you will. This is not your first rodeo. I'm so excited, especially because you said it. You've now taken this time to really hone down who you are as a person. And I think once you really know who you are and you are that best version of yourself, you are going to thrive on stage. And we always talk about this aura that a beauty queen has, and I think now that you have figured out who you are, that aura is just going to follow you once you walk on stage or even into pageant week. So I'm so excited for you. And as we start to wrap things up, do you have any last words or thoughts or topics that you'd like to talk about?
I would just like to say to any woman or girls who are on the fence about joining pageants, just do it. It's always going to feel scary that first time. You're always going to feel like you don't know what you're doing, because I found I gained that positive support network that was helping me figure out how to be the best version of myself through pageants. So if you feel this calling to join pageants, you know that this is where you want to be, just do it. It's always going to seem scary, but I promise there will be women, and sometimes women that you're competing with, that will hold your hand and help you through it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's a good note actually to leave it. So Jewel, thank you so much for joining us today, and happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Again, if anyone wanted to follow your journey one last time, where can they follow you?
Yeah, so on Instagram it's at Miss_Jewel Louise. Same on Facebook, and yeah, I'm mostly active on Instagram, and so you can follow me there.
Amazing. Well, again, Jewel, thank you so much for bringing Grateful Givers to the world, because that is who you are and what you are. And I do wish you all of the best at Miss Canada in June 27th, 2021. So ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching, make sure you support her and her journey on there. I've been following you for a very long time, and so being able to have this conversation and get to know you more outside of your pictures on social media is great. You do have an amazing heart and an amazing story to tell. So thank you for sharing that with all of us here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. I'm so glad that we were able to make it happen. I know this is something that we've been talking about since February, and here we are 5 months later. So I'm so glad that we got to do this. And to all of those who are watching, thank you for joining us this evening. I know there's a lot going on in Toronto right now with the Leafs game and just trying to figure out what's happening with lockdown. But in the meantime, stay safe. Just if a reminder, if you didn't know, which most of you have not known, we will not be going live this Wednesday. There was a conflict of timing, so we will be going live on Friday, June 4th, Jewel's birthday, at 4:00 p.m. So make sure you tune in for another episode of the Pageant Sit Down. If you enjoyed this interview with Jewel, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more of my Pageant Sit Down, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Jewel, again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I know you just got off work, so you must be tired. But again, congratulations on graduating. Best of luck with Miss Canada 2021. And happy early birthday.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And to everyone else, again, stay safe, and I'll see you on Friday. Bye.